So I think it's good time to start with the training. Yeah. So I would love to start with some sort of basic questions that you guys have in your brain at this moment. Maybe you have a question like why this training is free and why not you are charging for this particular training or anything like this, right? Guys, there is only one reason why this particular training is free, because of Janta curfew, and for next 10 days I hope that every one of us are at home, and I thought like maybe we can utilize this time, and maybe we can use it for the positive purpose. So that's why I started this training free of cost. Now, why you are training only Python? Why not two other subjects? Guys, my agenda for this particular boot camp, complete boot camp, I'm having this boot camp for next 10 days. And my agenda for this particular boot camp is not only to cover Python, but yeah, I'm more interested to go for data science, machine learning, including projects. So I'm more interested to learn or go ahead with data science, machine learning, cybersecurity, and many other topics. But yeah, before moving ahead with machine learning or maybe with data science, it is very much important for all of us to know something about Python. That's why I started with the Python. Today we will start the training at 10, 11, 10, something like that. And then maybe within 3 hours, I'm pretty sure that we'll be very much comfortable with Python. Or maybe you can say that much of Python which is required to go ahead for machine learning and data science. From tomorrow onwards, our class will shift to machine learning or maybe with the data science. We will start with the very basics, whatsoever is required for those particular topics, and so on. Slow and steadily we will go ahead with the same. Correct? Now, what is today's agenda, or what kind of software that is expected to for you people to have with you? Software number one is Python package. From where you will get this package, I'll explain you within few minutes during this training itself. Software number two is PyCharm. Now, what exactly is PyCharm? It's an editor. I'll explain you what is PyCharm editor, and from where you will get this PyCharm editor, I explain you everything from the very basics. Now, majority of you may have certain set of question in your brain, sir. I don't have any sort of programming background. I don't have any sort of knowledge. Can I learn from this training? Guys, it really does not matter whether you have a knowledge or not, because I'm going to cover each and everything from the very basics. From the very basics. Pretty simple, pretty cool. Correct. So, it is not compulsory for you people to have a background belonging to any sort of IT field. Even if you are from a pharmaceutical field, or maybe you are from mechanical or civil, it's okay. And I believe that programming is something which must have to be compulsory for every stream, and that's why I started with the very basics, where I'm going to teach you everything about Python. So first of all, let's talk about what is the need of a software, or what is the need of a language. Simple enough. So what is the need of a language, and what is the job of a software engineer? So basically what happened, guys, okay, I'll just erase this all points over here. I'll select this all, and maybe it's not allowing me to erase this. Done. So let's go ahead. Now, what is the job of a software engineer? Let's try to understand what is the job of a software engineer. So guys, when you talk about software engineer, or maybe when you talk about engineer, so basically if I select the pen over here, and if I select any color, maybe I'll select the black color, and if I say software engineer. So when I talk about software engineer, what is the job of a software engineer? Basically, when you use the term called as engineer, the job of an engineer is always to work on two important concepts. One is time, and another one is space. So every time when you say that you are an engineer, you will always talk about two things. Either you will talk about time, or you will talk about space. Now, what comes under time or space? Guys, what we do with the software, we do perform automation of every certain things, which is really maybe difficult for the people to do it. That's why we are engineering some sort of software which are helping people to do the task in more easy manner. Let's take an example. If I talk about Ola, or maybe Uber, or if I talk about Zomato, right? What is the job of a Zomato? There was a time when you have to go to a restaurant, then you have to order a food, then it will take like half an hour for preparing your food, and then maybe you will get the food back to you, and there are many steps in this. Correct? Now, if you calculate the time required you to go to the restaurant and then order the food, then eat the food, and then come back to the home is something approximately, maybe if I say at least 2 hours, correct? Whereas if you say Zomato, I just have to sit idle at home where I don't have to invest myself in going and coming back, and while sitting at home, I can they get the food maybe within 30 minutes and eating food maybe 15 minutes. That means I don't have to spend approximately 2 hours. I can done my task within like maybe 45 minutes, which is more than sufficient for me, and it's good time. So where Zomato helped me out with lots of saving my energy, my time, my space, and lots of things. Same true with Oyo, same true with Ola, same true with Uber. Every time when you see any software and the software is there in the market, that means that software is surely going to either save your time or going to save either your save your space. One of the same thing, either one of this, correct? Now this is what the job of a software engineer. But how do software engineer achieve this? By designing softwares. Oh, great enough. Now how do software engineer design the softwares? So now the software engineer design the softwares by using language. Now, what is the job of this language? Correct. So, before moving ahead, what is the job of this language? I would love to ask, or maybe I cannot ask you because I intentionally stopped all the chatting and everything in my video. Maybe from tomorrow onwards, I'll make it active. But now, today for this lecture, I don't want any sort of spoilers in this particular video lectures. So, let's go ahead with this language. Correct. Now, what is the job of a language? Okay. Before coming up with programming language, I will just give you a generalized concept of language. I'm currently teaching you in English. You people are able to understand English because we both understand English very well. Whereas this is not true with computer. Because when you say computer, my computer only understands zeros and ones. That is binary. And me, I can only speak out in English or maybe in Hindi or maybe in other language. That those are my native language. Correct. Now, if I want to communicate with my system, there must have to be a common language or maybe a common converter who can convert my English like language into zeros and ones which are understandable by my system. Simple enough? Correct. Now, for that, we have a concept called as programming language. Now, what exactly is programming language? Okay, guys, so I'm not going to explain you what is programming language, but here I will differentiate the language into two parts. One is programming, right? So one is programming and another one is scripting. One is programming language and another one is scripting language. Sir, what is the difference between programming language and a scripting language? This is very basic difference, but I would really love to cover up from the very basics itself. So that's why, what is the difference between programming language and a scripting language? Maybe I hope that you guys heard about the term called as Java. Yup, Java is one of the language, correct? Maybe you have heard about a term called as C. Maybe you heard about a term called as C++. Maybe you heard about a term called as Python. Maybe you heard about a term called as JavaScript, maybe JS, something like that, correct? Now, I love to explain you what is the difference between programming language and a scripting language. The languages which are dependent on interpreter. So, I'll explain you what is interpreter. Languages which are dependent on interpreter comes under scripting language. So, that kind of languages are considered to be scripting language. And the languages which are dependent on compiler. So, yeah, I'll start with compiler over here. PILER compiler. So languages which are dependent on compiler comes under programming language. That means Java, C, C++ are a programming language, whereas Python and JS, that is JavaScript, is considered to be a scripting language. Now, what exactly is the term compiler and what is interpreter? Let's take an example. Okay, so guys, anytime if you want to draw this diagrams, just pause the video. Not now when you are live. Maybe I'll upload this videos on YouTube itself. So you just have to pause this video and then maybe you can draw these diagrams and all, because I don't have time to wait for you people to draw these diagrams. Correct? So just understand it now. For timing, just understand this videos will be available for you. So don't worry about it. Correct? So I'll just erase everything for timing. Now, what exactly is compiler? Now, suppose this is me, correct? I travel to Kerala, maybe Kerala. So, those who all know me, I am from Nagpur. So, Nagpur is in Maharashtra. Maharashtra, maybe consider Maharashtra, correct. Now, this is me in Maharashtra and I travel to Kerala, correct? And as I reached to railway station, I found there is a smart girl, or maybe you can say beautiful girl, standing on the railway station itself. And okay, let me draw the beautiful face over here. This beautiful face is pretty not beautiful, but it's okay. Maybe I can draw something. Feels so good while drawing something like this. Okay, maybe while reaching, like when I reached to this railway station, I found the most beautiful face over there, and I directly went and proposed that girl in Hindi. Hello, madam. आप मुझे बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं. क्या आप मुझसे पटोगे? And that girl replied me back, but I failed to understand why, because she replied me back in Malayalam. Harsh. I can only speak English, but she can only understand Malayalam, and she only speaks Malayalam. So, if there is a differences between both of us and we don't know any common language, so what I can do here is I can take a translator. I can ask to a person who can do a translation part for me. So maybe if I take a translator, so there is a guy, or maybe you can say any person who is doing a task of a translator for me. So what this person is going to do now here is he will take some words from me and convert those words from me for me to that girl, and maybe do the same for the response. Correct. Now there are two ways by which this guy will translate my words to that girl. One way is this guy will ask me a complete paragraph. Okay, so I'll discuss with this guy. Please tell her that she is the most beautiful girl in the world, and please tell her to be my girlfriend, something like that. Whereas this is one way. Now, when this guy is converting your paragraphs, complete paragraphs, so that means this guy is playing a role. That means this guy is playing a role of a compiler. So what is the job of a compiler? If there are 10 lines written in your code, compiler will compile the complete code at the same time. So that's what the job of compiler. Now there is one more way, right? This guy will convert or translate my words to this girl. Now another way is line by line. So this guy will take one line, translate it for the girl, then another line, translate it for the girl, then another line and translate it for the girl. And if this guy is translating line by line, that means over here we are using interpreter. Now what is the job of an interpreter over here is take one line, convert it, take one line, convert it, take one line, convert it, take one line, convert it. Oh my god, that's great, that's clear itself. Wow. Now what is the advantage, or maybe what is different between interpreter and compiler? We are already done with it. Now what happened, guys, when you use interpreter, if there is any sort of error in any line number, so maybe if I say in line number 19, if there is an error, correct? So my compiler will not allow me to execute the code in anyhow situation, because my compiler is converting the complete code all at once. That's why my compiler will not allow me to execute the code. Simple enough, clear enough, correct. Now, on the other hand, when I say interpreter, even if there is an error on line number 19, my interpreter will surely allow me to execute all 18 lines except line number 19. So I'll not be allowed to execute line number 19 and further code, but yeah, till 18 lines I can execute it like very commonly, very normally, right? So this is the basic difference between interpreter and compiler, and based on the interpreter and compiler, we say that the language is a programming language or a scripting language. Now, once you are clear with the concept of programming and scripting, let's talk about Python. Now, majority of the people, they ask me, sir, from where to start the career? So yesterday itself I received lots of questions from lots of students where they asked me, sir, I wanted to make my career in cybersecurity. What I have to do first? And I always recommend to go for Python, Python and Python. Now I'll give you the reason why I always force to all my students to go for Python. Basically, when you say Python, correct, if you ever wanted to make a career in any of the direction, maybe if you wanted to learn about data science, so if you wanted to learn about data science, maybe you wanted to learn about machine learning, maybe you wanted to learn about AI, something like this, or maybe AI like this. Okay, so in Python we do have many packages, those who support data science, machine learning, AI, like we do have NumPy, we do have pandas, then we do have NumPy, pandas, and matplotlib. scikit-learn, matplotlib, scikit-learn, and many other packages are there for data science, machine learning, and AI. Right now, if you say like if you wanted to go for web development, so for web development, we have an option called as Flask. Then we do have an option called as Django, correct? So if you ever wanted to go in web development, you can go easily. Now maybe if you think that, sir, I wanted to go for mobile application development, so if you wanted to make your career in mobile application development, then there is a package called as Kiwi. Kiwi is the package which helps you to design and develop the mobile applications using Python. Great enough. Now if you ever wanted to make your career in maybe game development, right? So we do have a package called as Py2Game. So Py2Game is the package name which helps you to go for to make a career in game development. If you ever wanted to make your career in the next topic, that okay, Py2Game is all over. Maybe if you ever wanted to make a career in testing, so testing. So we do have a package called as Selenium, and many other packages are there. So Selenium is there, and Robot Framework is there. So you can opt for any of this package, correct? If you ever wanted to make a career in cyber security or maybe in automation, like that is RPA, one of the major field in the market. So RPA, one of the best field, right? So if you ever wanted to make a career in RPA, we do have a package called as PyAuto GUI. So PyAuto GUI. And if you ever wanted to make a career in cyber security, just go through with your Kali Linux, and if you just go through with the Kali Linux, you can understand that majority of the tools in Kali Linux are made using Python itself. So what my ultimate aim is to tell you at this moment is that Python is having an option for all the directions. So no matter in which direction you want to make a career, you can start your career with Python, and then you can take a step two for further for your career itself. So this can be considered as one of the basic thing, or maybe you can say nursery for your complete life, for your complete career, correct? So always start your career with Python and then go ahead with any of the step that you wanted to go. Pretty simple, pretty cool. Now, many of the time, many of the students ask me the question, sir, I'm from 10th standard, I'm from 12th standard. Like, is it possible for me to learn Python? Guys, Python is one of the basic language like C and C++, and it's pretty easy to understand too, correct? So I do recommend, no matter whether you are in 10th standard or 12th standard, I strongly recommend you people to go ahead Python as a language for you, as a first language for you, and then you can start designing softwares and everything. Now the question comes over here, from where I can download the Python, or what are the softwares required for Python. Okay, so what you have to do, guys, if you ever wanted to know what are the softwares which are required for Python, just go to Google and search over there Python download, and there is a first link, that is download Python at python.org. Just click on this link. Now there is an option called as download Python 3.8.2. just click on it, and now this package is there. Just click on save. Once you are done with the downloading of this package, installation is pretty simple, as we do install any other software. Double click, next, 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 and finish. Make sure one thing, when you are installing Python package, you will get a checkbox called as add to path, add to path, path. Make sure you click on that checkbox before going ahead installation of this Python package, correct? First software is all done. Second thing, now I already have this package with me, that's why I'm not installing it again, correct? Now the second part over here, for Python, you will be needing some sort of intelligent editor. You can use any editor. Maybe if you are interested to use Notepad, you can go ahead with Notepad also. But I strongly recommend to go for PyCharm as an editor. Now, what is PyCharm and what are the advantages of PyCharm? Basically, PyCharm is a advanced editor compared to all other editors, and that's why I personally prefer to use PyCharm over other editors. So just go to Google and search over there PyCharm download. And as you search on Google PyCharm download, you will get the first link, that is download PyCharm Python IDE for Python developer, something like that. Now you will get two options over here. One of the option is professional edition and second option is community edition. You can opt any of this option. But for our course, for this particular course, and maybe when you're learning Python, download community edition, because community edition is more than sufficient for us, and this edition is completely free, open source, available from JetBrains to all of you, correct? So just click on this download the community edition, double click on it and install it. Pretty simple, pretty clear. Cool enough. Now let's start with something else over here. That's my streaming. Okay, now let's start with something else over here. How can I verify whether Python successfully installed in my system or not? If you ever wanted to verify whether Python successfully installed in your system or not. So guys, if you are using Windows operating system, then maybe you can go to your start and search over there CMD. Search over the CMD, that is command prompt. If you are using Linux or maybe Mac, so just start the terminal, and once you start the terminal, you will be there in the terminal, right? That's it. So once you are there in the terminal, just type over there Python Python. So go to terminal and type Python. If you are getting some Python version like Python 3.7.1, I'm using 3.7.1, but if you installed it now, maybe you guys are using 3.8.2, the most latest version of Python. That's all up to you guys. So just go to terminal and type over there Python. If you are there in the interactive mode of Python, that means Python successfully installed in your system. If you ever wanted to execute some code, you can execute it. So maybe I'll just say print hello world, and if I press enter, okay, you can see I'm getting hello world over there. That's cool, that's great enough. And this is what we call it as interactive mode of Python. Oh, that's cool, that's perfectly fine now. So till this we understood one thing, how to set up the basic setup of Python and how to install PyCharm, correct? Now I would love to start with the coding inside PyCharm, because this is a 3 hours course where I have to complete everything in 3 hours. So I would prefer to start with PyCharm directly, correct? Before starting up with PyCharm, I would love to give you the definition of what exactly is variable. So let's start with variable, and then I'll directly start with the coding part, because everything starts with variable, and variable plays a very important role when you talk about programming. So pretty simple, pretty okay. So guys, I hope that maybe majority of you know already what exactly is variable, but let me give you my definition of what exactly is variable, correct? Maybe you guys have seen some bowls or maybe some spoons at your home, correct? Now what is the job of a spoon or maybe a bowl or maybe of glass, correct? So what they are nothing but containers. Containers are something which are going to store the value. So now the value can be water, value can be curd, value can be yellow color water. I hope that you're getting my meaning, yellow color water, correct? So what exactly is a variable? Variable is nothing but a container which is going to store some sort of value for you. Pretty simple, pretty okay. Now what is happening in your computer? So would love to give you an overview. Maybe you can say 50,000 or maybe 50 fits up top view of what exactly is variable. So let's try to understand what exactly is variable. Suppose, okay, this is having some problem now. Uh-oh. Okay, so pen stopped working now. It's not working. Maybe I'll check it out later on. Correct enough. So let's go ahead. Suppose we do write a code, or maybe we do write a code in hard drive. So this is my hard drive, right? And there are multiple things that those who are playing in your system. So maybe we do have RAM, then maybe we do have CPU, and inside CPU we do have a cache memory. Now what exactly happened when you okay, this is hard drive, so I just give a proper notation to it. So I'll just give, this is HD, maybe this is RAM, and this is CACHE cache, and this is my CPU, correct? Now what exactly happened when you write a code over here? So suppose if I'm writing a code, A is equals to 10, B is equals to 20, and C is equals to A plus B, something like this. Now what happened with this? Basically what happened with this, when you say A is equals to 10, A will store some value or some space inside your RAM. B will store some space inside your RAM, and even C will store some space inside your RAM. Currently I assign A is equals to 10. That means A value, that is 10 value, assigned to the place where it is allocated for A. Now this is for B, so 20 is reserved over here. Now C, this is going to be blank. Why? Because currently we don't have any value in C. Now what happened when this thing happened? So your A value will go to cache, your B value will go to cache, plus the operation, that is plus operation, will go to cache. And when you get these three values into your cache, cache will wait for the execution, and then cache will hold like give this values to your CPU. CPU will take A, B and operation, that is plus, and then CPU will perform the operation on it and will return the value for C to this RAM, and here it is going to store the value for C as 30. So I'll just take maybe like this, and it's going to store the value as 30. Now when you say print C over here, so it is going to print or take the value from your RAM and going to show you inside your in your monitor. Basically this architecture is called as computer architecture, a basic computer architecture, just to understand how and where the variables plays the role, and we got it very clear where the variables are playing a role. It's exactly like when you're taking a permission to your parents, if you ever wanted to go out when there is a Janta curfew, correct? So maybe your family will not allow you to go out because Janta curfew is there. You will first go to your sister and take a permission from your sister. Then your sister will go to your mother. Then your mother will go and ask to your father. Your father will think about it and will give response back to your mother. And your mother will give the response back to your sister, and maybe you will get the response back. And it's no, sorry, it's Janta curfew. You are not allowed to go out because everywhere is coronavirus. So that's it, just for our understanding. Now you will never ever forget this particular example, right? So that's it for now. I hope that I made the point very clear what exactly is variable, correct? Now let's start with PyCharm. So let's start with PyCharm. The icon for community edition PyCharm is this. This is PyCharm. Let's click on PyCharm. It will take some time to start PyCharm. Wait for a few minutes. Okay. PyCharm started. Wait for a few minutes. Correct. Now on the left hand side, when you start PyCharm for the first time, on the left hand side, you will get a blank screen over there. So this screen will be blank for all of you because you are starting PyCharm for the first time. Maybe you will not get this type or this part also. That's a secondary thing. Whereas I do have like worked on some sort of project. So these are the projects that I'm getting over there. Correct. Now you just have to click on create new project. Fine. Done. Now this is the place where you wanted to store your project, so you can click on browse and you can change the location where you wanted to save your project. Done. So give the project name. Maybe I just say this is Python basics. I just provided the project name over there. Click on create. It will take some time. It's creating the project for me. Finishing up. Done. Started with the project. So that's Python basics. Done. Now when you start with the Python, when you start with the PyCharm, we are done. Now I would love to explain you some basic things about this PyCharm, the places. Guys, this part is a project explorer. That means everything related to your coding part and everything will come over here in your project explorer. Whereas this part is called as stage. That means you are going to write your code and everything at this particular place. At the bottom you have Python console, that is going to show you the output. Terminal, if you ever wanted to install any sort of third-party modules or anything like that, that will come under terminal. And to do is something like if you are a developer and if you wanted to note down like what you're going to implement next, what you want to implement next, then everything else will comes under to do. Let's start and create the first Python file, and let's go ahead with it. So I'll just click on this folder, right click on it, new, and there is an option called as Python file. I'll select this option, Python file. Now you can give any name to it, so whatsoever the name you wanted. I just give the name as basics and click on OK. As soon as you click on OK, maybe if you press enter, you are good to go. This is your Python file, and now here you can start writing the code. Now let me start with hello world. So I just say print hello world. You can write hello world in single quotes, or maybe you can write in double quotes. Both are okay. I am writing hello world in single quotes. Now if you ever wanted to execute this, just right click on it, go to run basics, and when you run it, you will see at the bottom it's showing me hello world. That means my code executed successfully. That's really great. That's very easy, correct? Unlike any other language, like maybe in Java, you have to write system.out.println and many other things. Whereas in Python, it's pretty simple. Just write a single line of code, and you're good to go. Perfectly fine, perfectly okay. Now let's try to understand how we can define the variables in Python. In other languages, you have to define a variable something like this: int I is equals to 10, where you have to specify the data type. So here I'm specifying the integer is the data type of I, something like that. But in Python, there is no need to specify the data type. Whatsoever the value you will assign to that particular variable, the variable will become of that, like it will change its data type based on that particular value itself, correct? So let's maybe declare a variable. So if I say a is equals to 10 semicolon o, semicolon is not required because Python is an intelligent language which do not need semicolon. So just specify a is equals to 10, b is equals to 20, c is equals to a plus b. Now if you ever wanted to print c, just say print c and you are good to go. So a 10, b 20, c a plus b, and now as if you execute this, you can see the output where I'm getting the output as 30. Cool, very cool over here. A, B and C. So we are done till now is like how to take like how to do addition or maybe how to declare a variable and then how to execute it. But sir, I have one small question over here. The question is, if you are saying that I don't have to specify the data type, correct? Yep. So if I don't have to specify the data type, then how can I know what is the data type of A, what is the data type of B? So if you ever wanted to know what is the data type of A and what is the data type of B, here just say print, then you can specify type, T-Y-P-E, type of A. So when you say type of A, it's going to tell you the type of A. When I say print type of B, so when you say type of B, it's going to tell you the type of B now. So as if I execute this, you can see it's showing me type of A is integer, whereas type of B is again integer. And you can even see if I change the value from 20 to 20.2, now as if I execute this, you can see type of B becomes float, whereas it was integer, now it becomes float. Change the value, change the data type to based on the value. Pretty cool, pretty easy till this. Yeah, so let's go ahead. Now the next question is, sir, I want to take input from a user. How can I take input from a user? So let's try to understand how you guys can take input from a user. For taking input from a user, you'll be needing a function called as input. So there is a function called as input in Python. Just type Python, and maybe inside this you can give a clue for your user. Enter value for A, something like this. Second, input from your user, enter value for B, something like this. Cool enough, fine enough. Where I'm taking two inputs from a user, A and B, and I'm doing addition on it. I'll just say plus C. Okay, now let's run the code. And as if I execute this, it's asking me to enter the value for A. Let me enter the value for A as 10. Enter the value for B. Let me enter the value for B as 20. And as I press enter, the output must have to be 30, whereas I'm getting the output as 1020. Why? Why? Because every time you're taking input from a user, that means your type of A and type of B, that is data type of A and data type of B, is by default string, and you have to explicitly convert that A into integer. So specify int of A. I want to convert this value from string to integer. Here also int of B. I want to convert this value from string to integer. and then now as if you execute this, so let me right click on this and execute it, asking me to enter the value of A. I can enter the value of A and value of B 20. You can see the output is showing me 30. Harsh. But sir, what was the problem previously? Why it was giving me 10 20? Because there is a simple rule of Python. Let me explain you what is the simple rule of Python. str, that's a data type over here, so maybe I start with this like this. Str plus str is equals to str. That means if there are two variables having both the data types are string data type, that means the output will always be string because it's going to perform a concatenation. Let's take an example. Example is m. So if there is a variable like m plus r, it is going to be mr. Concatenation. Simple enough. And as I said, the input method, the default data type of an input method is string itself. So that's why when I was entering A and B, it was taking A and B as an string rather than taking it as an integer. And by using int method, we explicitly converted our string to integer. Simple and clear. Now, second rule. Second rule is str plus int is equals to error. So now what does this mean? M plus 10. So maybe if I say m plus 10 is equals to error. So it's saying that you cannot do addition with a string or a string addition with integer. Pretty simple, pretty clear. Cool enough. Now, third rule. Now, str multiply by integer is equals to number of str. Now, what does this mean? Number of str over here. Let's take an example. If I have m multiply by 2, so it's going to be multiply. So it will multiply m for 2 times. So it will be something like this. I hope it is clear with every one of you. And by default, every time you're taking input from a user, the input is always in the form of string, and you have to explicitly convert it into integer by specifying int of A and int of B, something like this. Pretty clear, pretty cool, pretty much sufficient over here. Now let's take a small use case on this. I want to make a Python program which will take input from a user in dollars and want to convert into rupees. Correct? So I will take input from a user in dollars and will convert that value into rupees. Simple enough, cool enough. So let's see how we can write down this particular program. I hope the logic is pretty clear with every one of you. You just have to take an input, multiply the input with 75 because you want to convert dollars into rupees, right? So let's see how we can do that. I'll just go and say dollars is equals to input. I'll give the clue to the user, enter amount in dollars, something like this. So now I just gave a clue to the user, enter amount in dollars. Correct? And now I want it should be in rupees, so I'll just say rupees is equals to integer of dollars multiply by, let's take a random value over here. So I'm just taking a, not random exactly, a approximately rough value that I'm taking as 75. Maybe it's the actual value is more than 75 or lesser than 75, but I'm taking 75 as a default value over there. Consider it as 75. And now it's all done, and I'll just say print rupees. So if I say print rupees, now as if I execute this, enter the amount in dollars. So maybe I just say $100. So for $100, the actual amount is 7,500 rupees. Oh ho, that's great. But sir, I really don't want to show the output as 75,000. I want to show the output as amount in rupees is 75,000, something like this. So how can I do that? So you just go over there and say plus. You can specify amount in rupees is something like this. So amount in rupees is this rupees. Now as if I execute, I got an error. Sorry, I have not entered the value here, 100, and there is an error. Why there is an error? Can only concatenate string, not integer. I hope that you remember the rule. Str plus int is equals to error. So this is str plus int. This is integer is equals to error. So then what is the solution? I still want this must have to be printed like this only. Amount in rupees is the amount. Okay, so how can you do that? Just convert the rupees into STR. So specify STR of rupees like this and you are good to go. Right click on this, click on run basics and you are good to go. Enter the amount in dollars. So maybe if I enter amount in 100, I'm getting amount in rupees is 7,500. Perfectly fine. A very small example over here just for our understanding how do the things work over there with the basic rules. If it is clear with every one of you, oh sorry, I don't have like I have like your all chatting options is like all the chatting options are disabled now. So anyways, let's continue with if conditions. So now basics, second basics, if conditions. We are learning about Python second basics, if conditions. So this is one example. Okay, now for timing I'm just commenting all this. How can we give comments in Python? If you ever wanted to give a single line comment, then we prefer to use hash. If you wanted to give multi-line comments, then you can use 3 times single quotes start and 3 times single quotes end. Now I'll just start with if condition. Now what exactly is if condition? So if you wanted to give if conditions are like this. If you have to specify some condition, and based on this, if the condition is true, it will execute this statement. If the condition is false, so maybe I'll just say else, it will execute this statement, something like this. So this is what if condition is. That means inside if you will specify some sort of condition here, and if this condition is replying you back as a true, so if the condition is true, it will execute this statement. If the condition is false, it will execute this statement. Let's take an example. If I put a condition, Mahesh is a boy, so Mahesh is equals to boy, it will execute this. Yes, Mahesh is a boy. Then maybe if I execute a condition, Mahesh is having a girlfriend, so that condition becomes false and it will execute this else statement over there because Mahesh is a single, and it's okay, fine enough. So let's continue with it. Not single, married. Example, just an example. Okay, so let's go ahead with this. And now I'm going to write a small program over here to check for voting. So I wanted to check for voting where I'll take an input from a user, enter your age, and based on the age, I will tell the user whether the user is eligible for vote or not, whether you are eligible for vote or not. So something like this, I wanted to make a small application in Python to check whether the user is eligible for vote or not. So how can I do that? So let's take age from the user. I'll say age is equals to input, enter your age, something like this. Now guys, I do one thing. While taking input from the user itself, I'll convert it here only. I'll just say int of input, enter your age. I'm going to take input from the user in integer format. So this is my age. It's going to hold my age. Now I hope that you know the logic is pretty clear. I want to give user output to the user whether user is eligible for vote or not. Simple like that, correct? So how can I give this kind of output to the user? It's pretty simple. If age is greater than or equals to 18, in other language we do use curly brackets, right? But in Python, how we can do that? So if you wanted to give write down in Python, you just have to write down like this. If age is greater than or equals to 18. Now how to stop this statement? So if you ever wanted to stop this statement, use colon. So as if you give colon over there, you are good to go. That means your if statement ends over here only, and press enter. And if you noticed one thing, as soon as I pressed enter, my cursor is pointing to the center. My cursor is not pointing to the end. It's pointing to the center. Why my cursor is pointing to the center? Because this is what we call it as indentation. In Python, curly brackets are having their own meaning. They have its own meaning, right? So that's why we don't use curly brackets in conditional statements, maybe in if condition or any other condition. So if you don't want to use curly brackets, then what you can use over there? So guys, in that scenario, we do use indentation over there. So what is indentation? Now everything which will come here, that will comes under if condition. So if I want to print something like this, print you are eligible. So if I say eligible, so if it's like you are eligible, simple like this, else colon print you are not eligible. So if I just say like this, not eligible, pretty simple, pretty okay. Age is equals to int of input, enter your age, where I'm taking input from a user and asking the user to enter your age, checking with the indentation. Like if I say if age is greater than or equals to 18, I'm getting the output that I'm printing the output over there, print you are eligible, else print you are not eligible. And you can understand this is an indentation. So anything which comes here will comes under if condition, anything which comes here will comes under else condition, and so on. Now as if I execute this program, right click, run, it's asking me to enter the age, and as if I enter the age as 20, I'm getting an output as I'm eligible. Let me execute it once again, enter the age, I'm entering the age as 16, getting the output as not eligible. So maybe I made a mistake, just give an output to the user, simple enough, done. So this is how you can use if conditions and else conditions inside Python, correct? Now I would love to focus on something else over here. I want to check, or maybe we'll ask the user, I want to check whether the user is eligible for marriage or not. So this is going to be really good. A Python program to check whether user is eligible for marriage or not, right? In India, we do have a restriction, right? Until unless you don't have, like for a girl, the age limit is 18, and for the boy, the age limit is 21, correct? So this time I will take two things from a user. I'll ask the user to enter the age, one thing, and second is I'll ask the user to enter the gender. So maybe I'll just say gender input, enter, or maybe in place of enter, maybe I'll just say select your gender, and here I'll just say M or F. So there are only two options available for the user, M or F. Now based on this gender, I want to check whether the user is eligible for marriage or not. So if I say if age is greater than or equals to 18, and okay, so how can I do that over here is I'll just put inside a bracket, parenthesis, age is greater than or equals to 18, and gender is equals to male. Age is greater than or equals to 18 and gender is male, one thing, or age is, okay, I'll just put inside parenthesis, age is greater than or equals to, not 18, 18 is all done, gender is female, that must have to be female, or age is greater than or equals to 21 and gender is equals to male. So now you are eligible or you are not eligible, something like that. Let's execute the program. What happened to this? Okay, there has to be double equals to. Now let's execute the program. As if I execute this, enter your age, my age 22, enter your gender, my gender M, you are eligible. Let's execute this, enter your age, my age 16, gender male, you are not eligible, so I'm not eligible for marriage. Now execute it once again, your age is 18, gender female, and you are eligible, so on. My agenda for explaining you this example was to let you understand how we write and or in Python. So how to write and in Python? It's by and. How to write or in Python? It's by or, and so on. I hope it's clear with every one of you, and we are done with if conditions and else conditions. You can, even if you wanted to do that, you can write down the same program by using nested if else conditions. So maybe one if this, second if may come here and all. Okay, let me give you or maybe write this particular program in nested if else condition. So I'll just comment all this, comment, done. Now I'm going to write the same program in nested if else condition. I'll check if gender is equals to female. So first I'm checking the gender. If the gender is female, and inside this I'll check if age is equals to or maybe not is equals to greater than or equals to 18. I'll just say print you are eligible, else print you are not eligible, so on. That's fine, that's fine. Now this is for gender female. Elif, so if I say elif gender is equals to male, so this is how you write else if in Python. So if you ever wanted to write else if in Python, you have to write elif if age is greater than or equals to 21, print you are eligible, else print you are not eligible, something like this. And maybe if the gender is not male and not female, then there is some third gender or something else, so I'll just say else print invalid input, something like this. Simple enough, cool enough, good to go. Let's execute this. Asking me to enter the age, so let me enter the age as 21, and I'm getting the gender is female, enter. It's working fine, and let me go ahead. I'll just say age is 30 and gender is R. In place of M or F, I'm just entering gender is R. Invalid input, so the input is not valid at all. Okay, so that's all done, that's all cool for if and else conditions. So we are good to go with if and else conditions. Our next topic is while conditions. So just wanted to take some input from you people, like how you guys are getting this code and how everything is going on. I will go and just a second, let me see how can I guys, live chat option is now on, and you guys can comment or maybe can do in the chat section where you can tell me like how you guys are getting this course. I do understand one thing, it's getting pretty faster, right? Faster for all of you, right? Now the chat section is on. You can continue with the chats, live chats, and I'm ready to take inputs from you. So till this, I'll hold on and you can continue with the chat section. Your chat section is on now. So you guys can now do a chat. Are you guys getting the option for chat? I enabled the chat section. Let me just say hello. Hi. Hi. It's going good. Yeah. Niranjan Babu. Thank you very much, dear, for responding me back. I hope that I do understand it's pretty faster. But you know, guys, the best part or how we can learn, we are good start with while, sir. Great enough. Thank you. I hope and I understand one thing over here is I'm going pretty faster. So when you can understand everything in more better manner, when you will like after this particular video, after this particular course, when you guys when you guys be like when you guys will watch this particular video, During that time you can understand in more better manner, correct? So that will help you out in more better manner when you will watch this video and when you do the practice for the same, right? Thank you Shitish Shekhar. Hello, hello dear, hello to everyone. Bhumika ma'am, we can use Anaconda. You can use instead of PyCharm, that's fine. You can use in Anaconda we do have Spider. You can use Spider and you can go ahead with it. Okay. So, thank you very much, Pratmesh. You are going at correct speed. Thank you very much, Pratmesh dear. There are two Pratmesh, right? Fine. I'll not be fast. It's cool, not faster. Thank you very much, Vishal. Easy to understand. Ritu ma'am, thank you very much. Okay, so let's go ahead back. We are. Oh, thank you very much, Soumya. I know it's easy. Maybe in next session, Yash, not in this session. Okay, so I think it's better to go ahead back with the course itself, and let's continue with next topic over here. Now, after if condition, I would love to explore or love to explain you for condition over here. So let's see what exactly is for condition. So I just say for loop. So this comes under iteration part. Basically, guys, whenever you wanted to perform, what you can say, whenever you guys wanted to perform finite thing, like there are certain set of operation I want to repeat again and again for few minutes, maybe for few times. Like I want to do some sort of operation for 10 times or maybe for 20 times, something like that, right? So if you wanted to perform some repeatedly operations, in that case we use for loop, correct? So what exactly comes under for loop? For loop is a finite loop, whereas while loop is a infinite loop. Now, how to write for loop in Python? Let's try to understand that. First of all, I'll write down the for loop in Java or maybe in C programming. So, how do we write for loop in Java or any other programming language? We do write something like this: for integer I is equals to 0, something like this. Then I is less than or equals to, maybe we say 20, less than 20, and I plus plus, something like this, and then we start with curly brackets and so on, correct? Now let's try to understand how do we write for loop in Python. Okay, so let's try to understand how do we write for loop in Python. Okay, people started chatting within themselves, so feedback is going good, everything is going good. I think it's better than now to stop the chatting option. Save it, all done. So thank you very much guys for chatting. I may allow you later on, right? So let's go ahead with this for loop kind of concept. So how do we write for loop in Python? We do write for loop something like this: for integer I is equals to 0, I is less than 20, and I plus plus, something like that. So what is exactly happening over here? There are basically three operations which are working over here. Operation number one, initialization. Operation number two, condition checking. Operation number three, increment or decrement. Then we are writing some code inside this maybe curly brackets, correct? This is something that we do write a code in all other languages like this only, correct? Now let's try to understand how do we write the same sort of code in Python. So in Python we have a special method called as range. I will love to explain you what exactly is range, but not now. Maybe after a few minutes I'll explain you what is range when we'll learn about data structures in Python. So let's go ahead with this for loop. So simply you have to write for I. So now I declared a variable as an I. So you can write down I in range. Maybe I can specify as 10. Now when you say 10, now what is happening over here? Basically range is an intelligent function. When you specify 10, it will do all the three operations for you automatically. Now what is happening here? Basically it's initializing I with default value as 0. For I is 0, I is less than 10, it is always going to be less than. You cannot use equals to sign over here. So when you specify 10, now 10 is considered to be less than. So for I is equals to 0, I is less than 10, and I is equals to I plus 1. So maybe I plus plus. It is happening with just a single word 10 over there. So now if I just want to print, so I'll say print I, and now as if you execute this, run the basics. So if you see over there, you can see it's giving me from 0 till 9. All good to go. So started with I is equals to 0, I is less than 10 and I plus plus. Sir, I want to include 10 also. If you want to include 10, specify 11. So now I is equals to 0, I is less than 11 and I plus plus. So less than 11 is 10. It will give you 10 also. Now as if you execute this and you're good to go. But sir, in other programming language, it is not compulsory that we have to initialize the value for I with always 0. Okay, so how can I do the same in Python? I don't want to initialize the I value with 0. I want to initialize the I value with 1. Okay, if you ever wanted to initialize the I value with 1, specify 1. That's cool. Now what happened here is for I is equals to 1, I is less than 11 and I is plus plus. Cool enough. Now let's execute this code and you can see where I'm getting the I's values as 1 till 10. There is no 0 in it. Great enough. But sir, in other languages, it is not compulsory for us to increment the I value with 1 only. Maybe we can increment with 2. Yes. So I can be I is equals to I plus 1 or I is equals to I plus 2. Yeah, you can increment by 2, you can increment by 3, you can increment by 100. That's all up to you. So then how can I do the same in Python? Okay, so if you ever wanted to increment with some sort of value, just specify comma 2. So as if you say 2. Now what will happen over here? For I is equals to 1, I is less than 11 and I is equals to I plus 2, something like this. Now as if you run the code, as if you execute this, you're good to go. So I is equals to 1, I is less than 11 and I is equals to I plus 2. I'm getting I plus 2 values over there. All cool, all good to go. But sir, do you know that in other languages, we can even run the for loop in reverse order. Yes, you can run the for loop in reverse order. So then how can I run the for loop in reverse order in Python? It's okay. Just go over there and type 10. So maybe I initialize the I value with 10. I is equals to 10. I is greater than 0 and I is equals to I minus 1. That's perfectly fine. Now your I will start with 10, will go greater than 0 and I is equals to I minus 1. Now as if I execute this code, you can see I is equals to 10, I is greater than 0 and I is equals to I minus 1. Perfectly okay, perfectly fine, and we are good to go to run for loop in reverse order. So this is how we can run for loop in reverse order, and we have already seen how to run for loop in forward order. We use for loop specifically whenever you wanted to perform a certain set of operation repeatedly for finite number of time. Simple enough, that is the actual purpose of for loop. Now let's try to understand what exactly is while loop and how we can use while loop in Python. So I'll just go over there and I'll comment this for loop over here. And I'll just say while loop. So I'll just say while, or maybe I'll take a variable n is equals to 20. I initialize the n value as 20, or maybe I'll initialize the n value as 10, and I'll just say while, I'll declare, okay, while n is greater than, while n is not greater than, while n is lesser than, maybe say 20. So n is less than 20. I will print over here, say print hello dear, something like this. Correct? Now what is happening here? What I am doing here is I initialize the value of n. N is equals to 10. By default, n is initialized as 10. Now I am checking the condition while n is less than 20. So it will execute till the time this condition is true. At this moment, n's value is 10, and we are checking for the condition n is less than 20, which is true at this moment because 10 is lesser than 20. It's going to print hello dear. But for how many number of times it's going to print hello dear? So let's execute it. Oops, sorry. I clicked on debug basis rather than I stop it, and let's execute this. I'll just say run it. So it's going to execute infinite number of times because 10 is always going to be lesser than 20, and that's why it's just printing hello dear, hello dear, hello dear, hello dear, hello dear, and all blah 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 blah. Sir, why? Why? Because you are not performing any kind of changes in your n value. So 10 is always going to be lesser than 20. It's always going to print hello dear for you. That's why we call while loop as an infinite loop. Oh, sir, I want to make while loop as a finite loop. It's okay. You just increment the value for n. So make n is equals to n plus 1, something like this. Now execute this, and as if you run, you'll see it's executing only for 10 times. Simple enough. Why? Because every iteration is incrementing the value for n, and for the first iteration n will be 11, second iteration n will be 12, third iteration n will be 13, and so on till n is equals to 20. And when n becomes 21, this condition will get false, and not 20. When n becomes 20, this condition will get false, and you will get the value hello dear, and it will stop the while loop. I hope that I made the point clear what exactly is while loop and how do we write while loop in Python, correct? Now, next thing that we have to understand is break and continue. What exactly is break and continue? Okay, so suppose today is a party at my home, although it's not allowed to conduct party in Janta curfew, guys, because it's Corona, and I do recommend all of you, please stay at home and do not do any sort of party. These are not holidays, these are something like you can say skill upgradation days which are provided by government to make you safe. Just stay at home and learn and upgrade yourself. That's a great time. So let's go ahead and suppose there is a party at my home, correct? And I want to invite maybe 200 people. Great enough. So I'll just say for I in range and start with 1 till 200 people. So these are like all 200, all my friends, and I'm going to invite all my 200 friends. I started inviting people, and suddenly Corona came into between. And when I was inviting to the person number 40, right? When I was inviting the person whose number was 14, 40, suddenly I got a notice from a government, and they said like, Mahesh, there is a Corona, and you are not allowed to invite more number of people. Oh, I want to break that point. I want to break that invitation at there only, right? So how can I stop it? So I just say if I is equals to 40, I can directly say break. And as soon as you say break, that means break will exit this particular complete loop and will stop your iteration. So if I just say print, and if I say print I over here, now let's execute this. So you can see I'm getting the values for I till 39, but as soon as I'm getting 40, because I is equals to 40, and I got a break. Simple enough. Now this is what break is. Break is something when you ever wanted to stop your iteration in between at particular time. We use break statement. Whenever you want to stop your iteration in between, we use break statement in that. Correct. Now, sir, then what is the meaning of continue? Correct. Now, continue is something when you want to skip a single iteration. I have 200, I have a list of 200 guests, correct? Out of 200 guests, I want to invite all except guest number 17. So the number guest number 17, I don't want to invite him because he is really an irritating person, and I don't want that kind of personality in my party because it's my party and it's going to be damn special party, something like that. So how can I do that? I just say if I is equals to 17. That means if I'm inviting this person, just say continue. Skip that person and go ahead. So what is going to happen here? It's going to skip that particular iteration and will move ahead. It's going to skip that particular iteration and will move ahead. Pretty simple, pretty okay, and good to go. Now let's execute this code. As if I run the code, you can see over there 1, 2, 3, 4 till 18, 16, 17, 16, 15, 16, and for 17 there is a skip. So there is no 17 over there. Started directly with 18 and so on till 39, because at 39 at 40 we have a break. So just for a small recap, what we have learned so far, we started with setup of Python, then we studied about variables, then we studied about if conditions, while condition, for condition, break and continue statement. We are good to go ahead with Python till this, and let's go ahead. Now what exactly is range function? and what range function is doing over there. This is something that's really important for us to understand. Guys, I hope that you know C programming, and in C programming we heard a term called as array. Now what exactly is the definition of array? Array is a set of elements. Array is a set of elements having similar data type, correct? So array is a set of, or maybe collection of elements having similar data type. That is what the definition of array is. Great enough. Now when you say similar data types, that means in other languages we do have a concept of data types, correct? Whereas in Python we don't have a concept of data type. So if we don't have a concept of data type, that means what will be the definition of array here? So the definition of array will be, array is a collection of elements having any data type. Oh, any data type. So that means, that's why we don't call array, we call it as list. Now what is list over here? Let's try to understand what is list in Python. So let's try to understand what is list in Python. So when you say list, list is a collection of elements of any data type. List is a collection of elements of any data type, correct? So maybe if I want to declare some list, so if I say my list is equals to, maybe I'll just declare a list something like not like this, but I'll take some values like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, something like this. And if I want to print, I'll just say print my list, and if I want to execute, I can just execute this, and you can see I have a list with me. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 and 60, something like that, correct? Now even if I want, if I add something like this, Mahesh and Suresh, and maybe I can add Ganesh, something like this, it's okay, it will take it. So this is not true with array, but it's true with list. Now I love to explain you what is happening in your range function. Basically, when you execute a range function, I'll just say print list of range function, and if I give the value as 10, now as if I execute this, you can see ultimately the range function is returning you a list. That's it. So what is the basic purpose of range function over here? The purpose of range function is to generate a list. That's it, nothing else. So if you ever wanted to generate a list, you can use a range function over there. So range function is generating a list. Yup. So in place of range function, sir, can I use a direct list over there? Yes, you can use it. Sir, how can I do that? It's okay. You just say for I in, directly specify the list. So I say 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, something like this, and just say print. And if you say print I, at every iteration, this I will take single value from your list. So first iteration will take 20, second iteration will take 30, third iteration 40, and so on. So now as if I execute this, you can see the output over there. Many times at this point, many of my students, they ask me the question, sir, if I don't want to print the output in this, like in the vertical order, I want to print the output as an horizontal order, then how can I do that? It's okay, just put comma and say end is equals to and here you can specify, like maybe you can say space. So this is a delimiter over here, and now as if you execute this, you can see all the elements are separated with space. If in place of space, if I say, maybe you can say dollar, so if I give a dollar over there, so all the elements will get separated by a dollar. Oh, okay, cool to understand. Yep, it's very cool to understand, pretty easy to understand. We are good to go, and we are very much done with the very basics of Python. We are very much okay with the Python now, and I hope that all of you are pretty clear with the very basics of Python. Correct. Now the next topic for us is strings. So let's talk about strings. So I'll just declare a topic as strings, strings, strings. Pretty easy, pretty cool to understand at this moment. Now guys, when you say strings, strings are one of the most important topic in Python. One of the most important topic, yes, because if you understand strings, that means you actually like know many things about Python when you understand strings in in a better manner. So let's declare a string over there. So maybe if I declare a string like name is equals to Mahesh Rakheja. So I declared a name over there. Name is equals to Mahesh Rakheja. Very cool, very good to go. Very much. Now, how do Python store a string? Basically, when you say a string, it's nothing but like a list only where it's having a single characters like this M, A, H and so on. The only difference between strings and list is strings are immutable. Now, what is the meaning of immutable? I'll explain you just after a few minutes. Please allow me to go ahead with explaining you what are strings over here. So, how to print the string? Just say print of name. When you say print name and when you execute this, it's printing Mahesh Rakheja. I'm getting over there. But now, as I said, strings are nothing but a list of single characters. So if the strings are nothing but a list of single characters, you just say print name of 0th position. You are good to go. Execute this and you can see 0th position M. Similarly, if you say print name of 1 position, you are good to go. When you execute, you'll see A and so on. Harsh, sir, when you say that strings are nothing but a list, similar to list, but those are immutable, that means you are trying to say that we can even use strings inside for loop. Yes, you can use strings inside for loop. So just say for I in name and uh, if I just say print I and if I execute this, you can see I'm getting single characters. So this is Mahesh Rakeja all at once, MA because I'm printing 0 and 1 and then I'm getting like from Mahesh till Rakeja over here. Fine enough. Oh ho! That means I'm able to access single characters all at a time from a strings. That's great. That's cool enough. Guys, one small assignment over here for all of you. This is an assignment for today. Maybe I'll be needing a small kuncham break over here, like just a small 1 minute break to drink a water. My throat is like maybe it's like corona for me. So guys, in the meanwhile when I'll take a small break here for 5 minutes, just for 1 or 2 minutes, I strongly recommend you people do an assignment. The assignment for you is write a Python program to reverse a string. Write a Python program to reverse a string. So guys, write down a Python program to reverse a string. Okay, so I'm just leaving out like to drink up a water and I'll be back within few minutes. Write a Python program to reverse a string. I'll be back in few minutes, like maybe 1 minute. Okay, so let's continue. I'm back. Now we have already seen the string things over here, where how to print a whole string at one, accessing single characters by using the numbers over here, and accessing a string by using for loop. Now what do I mean over here when I said like strings are nothing but similar to list only, but strings are immutable. Now what is the meaning of immutable over here? Immutable meaning is if you ever wanted to change a single character, like if I say name of 0th position, that is M, in place of M I want to convert it to R. So how can I convert a single character? How can I change a single character? So if I say name of 0th position, make it R, this is not allowed. So you are not allowed, oops, sorry, you are not allowed to change a single character. And here you can see I got an error where it's giving me an error. str object does not support item assignment when you set name of 0 is equals to R. You are not allowed to do that. You are not allowed to do that. Rest of all the program is okay, but this is not allowed. If you ever wanted to change a single character, you are not allowed to change a single character, you have to change a complete string. So maybe you can specify name like HAHESH, something like this. This is okay, this is allowed, correct? So you are not allowed to change a single character, you have to change, okay, I'm not printing anywhere, this is okay, but it's allowed. You are not allowed to change a single character, you are allowed to change the complete string, but you are not allowed to change a single character. That is what strings are immutable means, correct? Now, if you, this is all good, this is all cool. Now we are going to understand some more things about strings. One of the thing is how to get a length of a string. So I'll just say print, there is a special method called as len of name. So when you say len of name, it's going to give you the length of a string. So here I have a length of a string that is 14. Cool enough. So we do have an inbuilt method for string, that is length, which will len, which is going to give you the length of a string, correct? Now how to do string slicing. So this is pretty interesting, right? So I'll just comment everything from top now till at whatsoever we have covered so far now, here till this. Now suppose I have a sentence with me. Sentence is equals to, I hate you like I love you. I hate you like I love you, something like this. So I have a sentence with me and I want to perform string slicing over here, and I want to slice like from this position till this, like till you, right? How can I do that? So let's see how we can do that. Just go to print and I'll just say sentence and I. What is the position of I here? The position of I is 0. So it will start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So u is at 9th position. So I can write 0 colon 9. So let's run the code and you can see I'm getting the output as I hate you. It's not allowing me to print I hate you. Basically, how we are doing string slicing here. The string slicing is nothing but in the back end it's running a for loop. And how it's running the for loop? For I is equals to 0, I is less than 9, and taking the characters by character like that only. So when it takes less than 9, so u is at 9th position and less than 9 is o, that's why I'm getting I hate yo. If you wanted to include u also, you just specify 10. Now it will become I is equals to 0, I is less than 10 is 9, 9 is included in it. Now as if I run this, you can see I have I hate you, I hate you, harsh. So we got I hate you over there, correct? So this is what we call it as strings or string slicing. Sir, I have one small question. If suppose I don't know the starting part of string, so if you don't know the starting part of string, so just go over there and say print sentence. Don't specify the starting part, just specify the ending part. Ending part is 10. So then what will be printed in the starting part? By default it will take 0. By default it will take 0. Got it sir, got it, cool enough. But sir, what if I don't know the ending part? If you don't know the ending part, just specify sentence and specify the start part. So if I say start with 10, 10 is like this position. Now as if I run this, so by default it will take the last character as the ending part. We got it clear. Sir, what if I don't know the start and end both? So if you don't know the start and end both, it's okay. So just say print sentence and do not specify the start and end. It's okay. Now as if you execute, by default it will take 0th position as your start and u, like that is last end position as your end. Pretty cool, pretty good to go and easy to understand, correct? Now this is what strings are in Python. And now let's go ahead with in operator in Python. If you ever wanted to check any particular word inside a string, so if you ever wanted to check any particular word inside a string, so if I want to check like print and I'll check maybe if I say hate in sentence, so I want to check whether hate is present in sentence or not. So if I want to check like this and if I execute this, you can see true. Why? Because hate is present in sentence, that's why in is there and hate is there. Even if you want to check, you can check h in sentence. So in operator is something which will give you true or false value based on that whether that particular word or a character is present inside that particular sentence or not. Similar to in, we do have not in. So you can specify not in, and now as if you execute this, you can see H not in sentence, false, because H is there in sentence. Maybe if I say Z not in sentence, Z is not present in sentence, so I am getting the output as true. So we have studied something about string. First of all, how to access single characters, then how to access all the characters by using for loop, then length function of a string, correct, then slicing the strings, then in and not in operator inside the strings. Guys, this not in and not in operator plays a great role when you go ahead with like further advanced topics in Python, correct. So that's why I just covered up everything in and not in operators inside a string itself. Now let's go ahead with the next part of string, and the next part of string contains lots of string functions. Now if you ever wanted to learn everything about strings, right, so what I do recommend, strongly recommend over here is learn about string functions. Now what are string functions? Basically, if you wanted to get the list of string functions, what I do recommend here is you just go over there and say print dir, and maybe you can say blank double quotes or maybe blank single quotes inside it, and as soon as you execute this, at the bottom you can see there are this much of string functions. Consider this as an assignment for today. Learn each and every this string functions. These are all string functions where we have multiple functions, and all these functions are having different meanings. Like one of the function that we covered here is len. Where is len? Len. This is len. So we are already done with len, and we know that len function is used for length, finding out the length, right? Similar to that, we have many inbuilt functions like ends with, to check whether the string is ending with any particular character, is digit, is decimal, is printable, is space, is title, is super. Is super is not is super, it's like is upper. Then L strip, R strip, and many other functions are there. I do strongly recommend to go and learn about all these functions, but yeah, I will take some of the functions as an example for this particular program. So I'll just comment all this, comment start and comment end over there, correct. So let's go ahead and let's start understanding about some inbuilt functions. Now suppose this all are into lowercase. I want to convert all this into uppercase. So I'll say up sentence, or maybe I'll just say up sentence is equals to, how can I convert everything into uppercase? Just say sentence dot upper. So upper is an inbuilt function which will convert your sentence into uppercase. So this is my original sentence, and I'll just say print up sentence. And now if I print this, so you can see this is an original sentence, and now everything is converted into uppercase. So dot upper is there. Similar to upper, we do have title. So maybe I say ti sentence is equals to sentence dot title. Now what title function will do? Every word, the first character of every word will get capital. So now if I say title, so let's just say print ti sentence. Now as if I execute this, you can see every word is getting capital. So I is capital, hate, H is capital, U, Y is capital, like, L is capital, and so on. So similar to this upper, similar to this title, we do have lower and many other functions. Now there are some more functions to check. So if I wanted to check, like if I say sentence dot is upper, so whether sentence is upper, and maybe I'll just say print up sentence dot is upper. So if up sentence is upper and sentence is upper, now as if I execute this, so sentence is not upper, all the characters in sentence is not upper, that's why I'm getting false. Whereas in up sentence, all the characters are upper, that's why I'm getting true over there. So this is saying me false, this is giving me true over there, correct. So these are some basic string functions I just covered over here. Let's cover some more string functions. So one of the string function is split. Before coming up with split, I would love to explain you what is replace. If you ever wanted to replace any of the particular word or single character from a string, so maybe you can say sentence is equals to sentence dot replace, You can give old character here, so maybe I just say replace hate. Replace hate with love. So I want to replace hate with love. I really want to replace hate with love in this complete world. Why don't people understand that there is no concept? It's okay. So when I replaced hate with love, you can see sentence now, everything, all the hate is replaced with love over here. So that's it for a replace function. So similar to replace function, we do have a strip function. Now what is strip? So let's try to understand what is strip. Suppose I have a name with me. Name is equals to uh, space Mahesh space Rakeja space something like that. I want to strip this space, that left side and right side. I want to delete those space. So just specify print name dot l strip for stripping the space from left side. Print name dot r strip stripping the space from right hand side, and I'll just say print name dot strip stripping the space from both the sides. Now as if I execute this, you can see space removed from left hand side, space removed from right hand side, and space removed from both the sides. Pretty simple. So we are done with the strip function. We already covered what is replace, and we are done with the strip function. Similar to this, there are another function. There are many more functions like find is there to find the index of a character inside a string, and one more function is there. Maybe split. Split is one of the important functions that I always use in my softwares also, right? So let's go ahead and try to understand how we can use split. Correct. So let's see how we can use split over here. Mm, Maybe I want to go get the word. So if I say words is equals to sentence dot split, not strip, split, split, split. Now what will happen over here when you say sentence dot split? It will split the complete sentence with the space. So with this space, it will split the complete sentence for you. Now if I wanted to print, so I'll just say print words, and now as if I execute this, you can see over here the complete sentence is splitted into words, and I'm getting all the words single element inside my list. So I'm getting all the words as list over there. Cool enough, pretty cool, pretty clear enough, and it's very easy to understand also. Split, sir, this is splitted with space. Why it is splitted with space? Why can't I split with any particular character? Guys, if you do not specify any character, it will always split with space. But if you specify any particular character, then it will split with that particular character. Like I want to split with like, so I'll just go over there and I'll say like, and now as if I execute this, you can see it's splitted with like. Wheresoever it was like, it is splitted with like. Pretty clear, pretty okay till this. Now let's go ahead and next thing is, I hope that it's done for today, because many of my students started feeling bored now, and I too believe that when you learn programming, it will be difficult to learn more than 45 minutes. So learning anything more than 45 minutes becomes a bit difficult, and I think it's all done till now, right? Tomorrow we will start with the batch, and the batch timing will be shared with you, all of you, inside a group itself. So I'll share the batch timing inside a group itself. Correct. I hope that you all are there inside a WhatsApp group. If you are not there in the WhatsApp group, then you better click on the link whatsapp.maheshakheja.com. I'll just write down like this: whatsapp.maheshrakheja.com. Just go to this link and you will be redirected to my WhatsApp group. So on, nothing else. And that's it for today. Tomorrow we will start with the further topics of Python, where we'll learn about functions. Then maybe we'll learn about file operations. So how to read and write data from a file. Then maybe we'll learn about data structures. So we'll talk about data structures. Data structures in Python. So we will talk about list in more detail. We'll talk about dictionary and dictionary, and we'll talk about list, dictionary, and maybe we'll talk about tuples. So we will talk about tuples tomorrow. So these are the three topics that we are going to cover tomorrow. The class timings and the link for tomorrow's class will be shared with all of you inside a group itself. So be there in a group. And one more thing is, for this particular training, the certification for this particular training, you guys will get the certification once you complete this training. In the training itself, I'll share some Google form where you guys have to fill up the Google form. Only for those people, those who will complete this training with me. Correct? So that's it. That's it for now. That's it for this training. After completing this training, I'll make this video available on YouTube itself, and I'll enable the comment section in that. So how you find this training, you just do comment in that particular section itself. That's it. I enjoyed a lot with every one of you. String section is all done. dir of string, I do recommend to you people that just go and learn all the functions of string by applying this command. Print dir of string and learn everything about strings, and do practice whatsoever you have learned so far in Python. Our tomorrow's agenda is functions, file operations, and data structures. Even this file, the file that we created here, this file will be uploaded to my GitHub account, and I'll share the GitHub link inside that WhatsApp group itself. And now regarding your questions, maybe during this learning you have maybe you guys have some sort of questions in your mind, right? So whatsoever the questions you have in your brain, I hope that you have written in your notebook, right? You can ask me these questions today at like between 6 to 8. Between 6 to 8, you all have my number. That's my number, 77972222 You can ping me your question on WhatsApp, and you can ask me anything if you ever wanted to ask me, right? If you have some sort of questions, I request you people, before asking a question directly to me, it's better that you search that question first on Google, and then you can ask me the question, and I'll reply you back for the same question. That's my WhatsApp number. You can ping me on WhatsApp with your questions between 6 to 8 in the evening. That's it for today's training. That's it for today's session. Guys, coronavirus is still there out, and I strongly recommend you all stay safe at home. We started with Python. We'll complete Python by tomorrow itself, and day after tomorrow we'll take some projects, and we'll continue with some projects on Python, and then maybe we'll go ahead with some advanced topics. Till now, the basics of Python, and I hope that I made the basics very clear for all of you. That's it now. That's it for now for this particular training. That's for this particular session. I enjoyed a lot. Your feedback is expected in the comment section. Thank you very much for joining me, and I am expecting the same sort of support from tomorrow onwards for this particular series. Thank you very much, all of you. Thanks to you. Go to bye. And